Hello folks. Welcome to our YouTube channel Faxstein. Please like, share and subscribe our channel. Hello folks. Welcome to Faxstein Celeb Talks. I am Morgan Expensive Man. Today I am going to tell you about a story of a man which you have never heard about. He is none other than Charlie Chaplin. Charlie Chaplin is apparently the most perceived entertainer for ages of crowds, engaging the world with the jokes and disasters of his little tramp character. The famous interesting man in the mustache and sick-fitting garments showed up in many quiet motion pictures, getting into scratches, heartfelt misunderstandings, and senseless contentions. Chaplin, who experienced childhood in London workhouses and performed on vaudeville stages as a kid, became a skilled entertainer as well as a remarkable chief, maker, and melodic writer. With Hollywood powerhouses Mary Pickford, Douglas Fairbanks, and D.W. Griffith, he dispatched United Artists Studio. He impacted the universe of parody, media outlets, and the matter of Hollywood. His life was loaded up with outrage too. Two of his four spouses were only 16 years of age when he wedded them. His separation settlement was the most costly at that point, and he had to pass on his received home of America to live in a state of banishment in Switzerland. Taking a gander at Chaplin's 88 years as a performer, inventive virtuoso, and on occasion questionable superstar, Stacker assembled a rundown of 25 realities from his biography that you may not know. To assemble the rundown, Stacker counseled media records, accounts, and film chronicles. At 10 years of age, Chaplin joined a company of stop-up artists called the Eight Lancashire Lads. They visited across England. Chaplin landed jobs in a few phase plays and joined a vaudeville organization called Casey's Circus. With his more established sibling Sidney, likewise an entertainer, he joined the Carnoco, a notable parody theater and vaudeville visiting bunch. As an individual from the Carnoco theater bunch, Chaplin visited the United States, where he got the attention of the New York Motion Picture Co. In 1913, he handled an agreement with the Keystone Film Co. acquiring $150 each week. The principal film highlighting Charlie Chaplin was Getting By in 1914. Wearing a huge mustache, Chaplin played a beguiling double-crosser named Edgar English. Chaplin's little tramp character initially showed up in the 1914 film Child Auto Races at Venice. Chaplin's person was an observer who disturbed a go-kart race. The film was taken shots at a genuine race, with the entertainers making do with real race onlookers. And his year at Keystone Film Co., Chaplin fostered his little tramp character and made 35 parody shorts. Chaplin later depicted how he picked his brand name outfit, saying, "I needed everything to be an inconsistency, the jeans loose, the coat tight, the cap little and the shoes huge." Among the parody shorts Chaplin made in 1914, 20 Minutes of Love was his initially coordinating exertion. Of another 1914 parody, Her Friend the Bandit, no realized duplicate endures. The currently lost movie featured Chaplin and Mabel Normand, and they co-coordinated too. In The Tramp, made in 1915 for S&A Studios and coordinated by Chaplin, his notorious creation began to change into the more recognizable person that crowds know well. The little tramp turned out to be less droll and developed more powerful and mindful. Marking a $670,000 a year contract with the Mutual Film Company, Chaplin turned into the most generously compensated film entertainer on the planet. He made 12 short comedies for Mutual, including The Floor Walker, the primary film to utilize the running flight of stairs gag in which entertainers run down an uplift or the other way around and don't go anyplace. In October 1918, at age 29, Chaplin wedded 16-year-old Mildred Harris, a famous kid entertainer. They had a child in 1919 who lived for only 3 days, and they isolated soon thereafter. At the point when they separated in 1920, Harris got some property and a $100,000 settlement. Chaplin made the bond in 1918 at his own cost to advance the offer of U.S. freedom bonds to assist with financing the country's tactical exertion in World War I. The film highlighted various comic representations depicting sorts of bonds like fellowship and marriage. In 1919, Chaplin got together with entertainer Mary Pickford, entertainer Douglas Fairbanks, and Chief D.W. Griffiths to make United Artists Studio. It was an exertion by the stars to apply more authority over their work. In 1924, Chaplin wedded entertainer Lita Gray. He was 35 and she was 16, getting ready to star in the film The Gold Rush. She became pregnant and lost the job. The couple had 2 children, Charles Chaplin Jr. What's more, Sidney Earl Chaplin, both of whom became entertainers. Chaplin separated from spouse Lita Gray in 1927 in bitter procedures. He paid her a record settlement of $825,000, and the lawful expenses of the separation came to almost $1 million. One Chaplin biographer said their marriage filled in as motivation for the novel Lolita, by Vladimir Nabokov, about a man's fixation on a 12-year-old young lady. In 1925, Chaplin composed, delivered, coordinated, and featured in one of his most acclaimed works, the quiet film The Gold Rush. In 1931, when most films were talking pictures, he made The Quiet City Lights, which highlighted a melodic score Chaplin made. In his last debut as the Little Tramp, Chaplin made the 1936 film Present Day Times. The film is viewed as an analysis on the joblessness and neediness a large number of individuals looked during the Great Depression. The year 1936 saw Chaplin wedding entertainer Paulette Goddard, whom he had given a role as a road imp in Current Times. She was 22 when they initially met. They stayed quiet about their marriage to a great extent, and he didn't present her openly as his significant other until 1940. They split up in 1942. The entertainer later said they had been furtively hitched, yet in addition said it was a custom-based marriage. Chaplin's The Great Dictator, delivered in 1940, was his first completely talking picture. In the spoof of Adolf Hitler and Nazism, Chaplin assumes 2 parts: a Jewish hairstylist and extremist pioneer Adenoid Hinkle, and conveys a blistering analysis of the German chief. It was assigned for Academy Awards for Best Actor and Best Picture. Chaplin wedded Una O'Neill in 1943. He was 54, and she was scarcely 18. Her dad was dramatist Eugene O'Neill, who censured the association and removed all contact with his little girl for the remainder of his life. The couple had 8 kids, including entertainer Geraldine Chaplin. That very year that Chaplin wedded his 4th spouse, Una O'Neill, he was sued for paternity by entertainer Joan Barry. The outrage cost him as far as his ubiquity and public picture. Blood tests showed he was not the dad, but rather the outcomes were not permitted as proof in a 1944 preliminary, and Chaplin was requested to pay $75 every week until Barry's kid turned 21. While going in London in 1952, Chaplin discovered that U.S. migration authorities would not allow him to get back to America after he had been transparently condemning of the House Un-American Activities Committee hearings and was associated by government authorities with having socialist feelings. He moved to the town of Coursier-sur-Vevey in Switzerland. Chaplin got back to the United States to get a privileged Academy Award in 1972. The crowd gave him an overwhelming applause that endured 12 minutes. Sovereign Elizabeth knighted Chaplin when he was 85 years of age. The honor had been proposed and dismissed in 1931 on the grounds that Chaplin didn't serve in World War I, and again in 1956 when the conservative British government would not like to harm relations with the United States during the Cold War. Chaplin passed on in Switzerland on Christmas Day in 1977, subsequent to languishing bombing well being over quite a long while. He was covered in Coursier-sur-Vevey Cemetery in Switzerland, where in 1978 a band of looters took his cadaver in a blackmail endeavor. The grave burglars were gotten, and the body was recuperated following 11 weeks close to Lake Geneva. It was reburied in a vault under a few feet of cement. Thank you for watching our video. Don't forget to like, share and subscribe our channel.